how interesting, because I thought about that. I actually considered it,
I would just
because
call
it
it,
was menacing.
yep.
Those are August.
Oh my gracious.
The signature, but you weren't here in September, so we approved them.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
then for September, I have Celeste's name on them, and I'll have to wait until she is in person to get that.
So I fell asleep while I was writing this, and then I woke up like this morning.
Yeah.
So,
Did you
when
get
I
it all?
called you, you got the first phone call.
Oh, actually,
I know, but that's okay, I left it on the message.
yeah.
Because I'm trying to figure out how he finished it. I know that there was a threat.
Well, we'll talk about it when we're not.
Okay.
Probably a good idea. We're not rolling yet, but you never know.
I thought about calling Skylar
Hey, Melissa,
Yes,
question for you. Did Katie talk to you about hosting a Good Morning Seaside here tomorrow?
she did.
Okay.
Yeah, she's on the, reservation
She is?
list. Yeah.
Because there's a big, forestry tour.
Oh, we were gonna do it in here.
Okay, perfect.
So we could actually just keep the chairs out. We'll do it tomorrow, and then need to put things back, and we'll just add,
Okay.
so, yeah.
I just want to make sure, yeah, it's it'll be a big crowd for the two events.
Good morning.
Yeah, it's through the chamber. Yeah, and they use this center a lot because there's businesses that don't have the right kind of storefront or, yeah. I think tomorrow is Pacific Power.
Do you need my jump drive at all, or are you?
I think I've got it.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, I loaded it and checked it and it was working good, so.
I'm just gonna share something with you guys earlier. Don't need to worry about it.
You're our champion grant writer.
Well, this is, you guessed it, this is grant information. There you go.
Thanks.
No problem.
Seen this before?
Yeah. And you are a new person.
Not yet. There's not been a
Well,
vote.
We will be.
It can go right here.
I see that. I don't want to count my
Oh, there
chickens.
she is. Let's just come text her.
Looks like we're frozen.
Where is she?
Yep, we're frozen.
She's in Arizona?
Yep.
Oh, how was your day?
I see.
Huh. I've never had that happen before, Isaiah.
Maybe American Southern.
Ollie, it's frozen in time.
The last time that happened, we had to restart the whole TV thing.
But she's moving.
Yeah.
She is, we aren't.
Oh, we just started email.
Oh.
I
We'll
know,
text her.
When you plug it in, it's all. Just be on the board side as well.
I feel like we should save Erica's thing for some future day.
You know, I agree with you.
I was thinking it's fun.
Actually,
Maybe she could hear, but she could hear.
Yeah.
It doesn't appear to be.
It looks like a lake today.
Apologize for the delay, folks. We're gonna be a
Hi,
few minutes
Celeste,
late.
and others, we're just, getting our technology set up here.
Hi Skylar, how do you do? It's me, RJ. How do you do?
One other thing I can do.
Plug and replug. Supposed to wait 30 seconds.
Long enough to do that.
I'm interested in who is here and who's not here.
See if they're on.
So Kyle, do you sing?
Like a cat in battery acid.
I mean, I'm thinking, I'm on the board at Candy's Chorus, I'm on the board here, I'm on the
Oh,
third,
I'm
you're on the
terrible
third.
singer.
I'm just like, okay, the next thing for you to do is join that.
We don't need any more conflicts.
That would pretty much put an end to any audience that would attend.
Entertaining or horrifying, I'm not sure.
I feel like we're in the fishbowl.
Yeah, be the front guy, not like I'm seeing.
I liked the other day when I was sitting here, aside from
You were the only one.
being in a confrontational position,
Yeah.
I could wash my car.
That was the worst part about working at the bank, was when it started getting early, and like, you couldn't see the parking lot, and so people would just suddenly be there. You're like, oh.
And do you work at the zoo?
Yeah. That's where I met my husband.
When was this?
Not in the cages.
I'm like, that's it,
Exhibit.
He was public safety and education. I worked in a gift shop.
So what year was that?
1999 through 2003.
Because I
Sorry, folks, we're
volunteered
rebooting
out
our
there
poly
in
system, so hopefully this will
Yeah, that was a few years
fix
before
our
my
problem.
time.
If not, we'll proceed with
I was not actually born then.
a different plan.
Oh, God, it's been a long time.
Oh, my gosh, okay. I liked when, as a nurse, they said there will come a day when you will meet somebody who was born the year you graduated from nursing school. And it took forever, but finally one day I was standing in the bedroom and you're waiting for, you're in a line, a small line. And I, take up a conversation with the person I didn't know. And I said, oh, congratulations. And then, she's doing her capstone project and blah, blah, blah. And she said, oh, and where did you graduate from? And of course, that's a normal conversation. And I said, oh, yeah, University of Portland, class of 1981. And she just went silent.
Seems good, right?
What?
Start
That's
the
the year
video
before.
now.
And she goes, yes, I said, oh my God, I've been waiting.
Okay, so Celeste was asking if we can hear her. I said no, but we can see her.
Can you hear me now?
Yay, there we go.
Small victories, right?
Yes.
And we have 2 people from Clash Group and then RJ on as well.
Okay, welcome everybody. Sorry for the delay. We were having technological issues. We are going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We need a motion to nominate a new board member. Someone like to make that? Go
I'll make
ahead.
that motion.
Go ahead.
I move that we nominate Kyle Gorman to fill our vacant chair on the board.
Do we have a second?
I second.
Thank you, Sue. All in favor signify aye, opposed nay. Sue?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Celeste?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Welcome, Kyle. Would you like to stand over here and I will swear you in? Going to give you please repeat after me. I, Kyle Gorman,
I, Kyle Gorman,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America,
the Constitution and laws of the State of Oregon,
the Constitution and laws of the State of Oregon,
and the Sunset Empire Park and Recreation District,
and the Sunset Empire Park and Recreation District,
and that I will faithfully and honorably conduct myself
and that I will faithfully and honorably conduct myself
in the office of the Board of Director position
in the office of the Board of Directors position,
to which I have been elected to the best of my ability.
to which I have been elected to the best of my ability.
Welcome. Thank you so much. You are welcome to take a seat.
Yeah, thanks, Kyle.
Thank you.
Yes. We are going to go through and do declaration of potential conflict of interest, and we're gonna start with the new guy, Kyle.
No conflicts
Sue?
or potential.
Sue, no conflict.
Mike?
No, ma'am.
Celeste?
No conflict.
None for myself. Public comments, nobody's on Zoom, nobody's out in the waiting room.
Doesn't appear to be anybody unless one of you fine folks would like to offer public comment. Is there anything?
No? No? Okay. Fabulous, moving right along. I love it when we move right along. Correspondence, I don't think I saw anything. Did I miss something? Nothing? Fabulous. Recognition of the SCPRD Employee of the Month, Angie Wolf. Hold on, gotta find my notes. There we go. Angie has worked hard to grow our Seaside Farmers Market this season, curating vendors who offer delicious food and artisan goods, cooking and entertaining local musicians like Brown's Mead Flats, and increasing access to nutritious produce for our patrons through our Snap, Match, and Double Up food box program. She recently acquired a grant that will further bolster and support the market. Thank you for all you do, Angie, and she was nominated by Melissa Oosley. Thank you, Angie. I have a fabulously framed item here with fabulous signatures that will be worth something someday, and a gift card for you. Thank you so much for all you've done, and
Thank
we
you, Angie.
appreciate
Good luck
you.
out there.
Yes.
Nice work.
Thank you.
Angie, you are not required to stay for the rest of this fact. Approval of board meeting minutes from September. Has everyone had a chance to look them over? Yes?
Yes.
Go ahead.
I have.
Okay.
I had one question,
Yep.
just for clarification. I was at the meeting on Zoom, and I may not have been able to hear everything correctly. I wanted to ask about the public comment, whether or not Ms. Weiss actually said that she was frustrated in the expensive planning documents prepared by OPSIS Architecture and SFA. I don't believe that we recently have used OPSIS. I believe that was during the
Correct.
tenure of Mr. Cutler, but that's not a typo. That's, she's actually
Not a
said
typo.
that.
We did use OPSIS a little bit in 2018 when we were preparing to run the bond, where we used OPSIS to provide some conceptual drawings, and
That was the bond, and they were involved with that design.
yep. So that's I think what she was referring to. But yeah, most of the work with OPSIS was a different era of the district.
And I want to make sure what she was stating.
Yep.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments, concerns about the board meeting minutes?
No, I have the same question, so thank you.
I move that we accepted that.
Thank
And I
you.
second.
Fabulous. Thank you, Sue. Thank you, Mike. All in favor, signify aye. Opposed, nay. Kyle?
I will abstain because I
Okay.
wasn't at the meeting.
Fabulous. Sue?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Celeste?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Thank you so much. There's, yes.
So this
Or
one will
that
have
one
to be
needs Celeste.
signed by Celeste when she gets
Yep.
back, because yeah,
Celeste, do you have paperwork?
you were at.
Okay.
Thank you for running the meeting while I was not there, Celeste. Review of the financials, September of 22. I had asked Skylar a couple questions today that I just thought I would share, in case anybody also had those same questions or hadn't answered, but I was looking at the percentage used on the revenues, and I noticed that we were a little high on the community center material and supplies, and they're kind of working on that. And then special events, just because of the nature of when the special events fall, that one's showing high because we don't have as many events in some months, and we put on some pretty cool events lately.
Yes.
And then the youth center, materials, supplies, and services, that one is where all the new grants that and supplies. So the grants will show in the revenue, and then the expenses for the new, expansion of the youth programs came out.
Yeah,
So that's why that one's
some good questions. I generally, thought the financials looked okay. You made some good points there. I had a question on the check report, just, for clarification. I was unfamiliar with hot melt technology. That's on the second page. It's a
Yeah.
vendor number, vendor check for $9,829.
Yeah. So we budgeted for a machine that will help us repair large rips and seams in the roof. It's essentially like a gigantic hot glue gun, and it will help manufacture or help lay the glue necessary to repair those smaller rips and seams that we need to get to. When we've done some of that work before, we've asked a company to come out from Portland, and we found if we purchased our own machine, we thought we could recoup the savings in 2 or 3 years' time. Seemed like it would be
We have some of that style roof on both the pool and the SRC, don't we?
No, sorry, not
It's
for
the
the roof,
roof,
for the
it's for
field.
the Broadway
Broadway
field.
field.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
To repair the turf.
Okay.
But yeah, roof, I don't know if the service can be duplicated, but you're probably right. There might be a need in those other facilities too.
Okay.
The other question that I had asked on the check register was the $12,790 for ECAM here, which is apparently we now have lots of cameras for the SRC.
Yes. I think actually Isaiah could probably speak to that, or I don't think they're ready installed yet, but we have them and we're working on it. We're very close, and
That is
I think
correct.
it's, what, like
Yeah.
another couple weeks probably?
I am hoping so. That's the plan, yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. Any other questions? Celeste, do you have any questions on the financials? I want to ignore you on Zoom.
Yeah, just to the hot melt, that hot melt, gun, so that was a good explanation, and, don't have a question about the purchase per se, except that I'm not seeing it I don't think I'm seeing it, indicated on the Broadway Field Fund, as an expenditure, and part of the reason I think that that's important is that as we communicate with our partners in the IGA, that we have an accurate accounting of, it seems like that, since that's specifically for the field,
Yeah.
that we need to be indicating that.
Yeah, I agree. It may have gotten miscoded or something else happened, but you're
Yeah.
right. It should be on that Broadway Field materials, supplies, and
Okay.
services line, so double check on that.
Thanks.
Good
Is
call.
it a capital expense?
It was, but, we didn't budget for any capital expenses on Broadway Field, so I'm thinking it was budgeted under materials, supplies and services, yeah. Or at least the budget line for Broadway Field capital expense has 0 in the annual budget, so I know we budgeted for it, and I think we probably, it would come out of that materials, supplies and services line, but it was either miscoded or for whatever reason, even though the check went out, it hasn't been coded yet in the actual software. But, yeah, good point, and we can make sure, I think that's astute. Actually, I just shared the expenses of Broadway Field with our partners, a summary report, with them a couple days ago, so. Not for this year, but, for like the 5 previous years.
Oh, okay.
Just, new
Yeah.
person question. How much variability, I know there'll be variability in tax receipts, but other than that, all the other revenues, how much seasonal variability is there?
Sure, it kind of depends on the line. Generally speaking, for programs, if everything goes well, we try to be within 10% of that margin that we kind of set.
Mhm.
What has challenged us in the past in a good way is like we've been very successful. You'll hear about it hopefully in obtaining some grants, and so those funds go into the operating budget. They go into the revenue line, but they also go into expenses, and they kind of throw everything out of whack. If you look down at youth center, yeah, you'll see material supplies is well over what we anticipated, and I think you can probably say that revenue is also probably more than it should be too. But other than that, other than those kind of discrepancies, it should be pretty on par, generally speaking. Special events, like Catherine said, can kind of vary a little bit because there's sometimes, like we've had 4 special events in the last 6 weeks, probably.
Yeah, and I can also say, I talked with our financial area today, so as far as, so I don't really have a budget necessarily as far as, you know, like Fall Fun Fest we just had, I don't have money designated for that, I have to go out to sponsors, and so I'm not, I don't spend money I don't have. It all depends, each event, it depends on the level of sponsorship I get, and then I can kind of decide from there, you know, our strategy. So, that is somewhat in flux. As I was looking at our financials today, I noticed those things had not been recorded yet. So on mine, you'll see it is pretty far off. You'll see in my presentation, it's quite different. But that's definitely one of those things where it still needs to be added to the record. So that's where there's quite a discrepancy there. But special events is kind of a strange creature in the sense that we don't have, you know, so much designated. It's just all dependent upon our grants and our sponsorships. So it definitely varies. So
you don't have any concerns that the revenues are going to be light at the end of the year?
I don't. I feel confident just based on our program numbers, where we're at, and what our program registration has been as far as that. And I think today actually we got a notice we're going to get our first little trickle of tax revenue. That's obviously the big chunk of the budget. So feeling okay. I think another month or two the picture will be a little clearer. Or we may have, you know, maybe there'll be some substantiated concerns at that point. But right now, feeling pretty good.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions on the financials?
I was curious what BAM was.
Yeah, so BAM is a promotional product outfitter that's in Seaside, and we have used their services for all types of things in the past, and we'll be using them again in the future. I think this line item is for some Turkey Trot shirts and what I believe some Seaside Farmers Market swag bags.
mm-hmm.
So again, that's one of those, yeah, most of those expenses that you'll see for that kind of thing, those have been covered by sponsorships, or we're going to generate the revenue back after by the sale of those pool bags. Did you get the bags, or are those for next year?
We did, yeah. So we had them for sale for this season, and then we'll continue to sell them next season. So that'll be something that it will generate as we sell them.
Yeah, it's kind of a funny business name. Bam. That's how Reese says it.
Well, I have another question, because I was just curious about what the biomed testing was.
Sure, that's the company that we use to run our background tests.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think the name of their company is a little misleading. They also do drug testing.
Yeah.
But yeah, we use them for background checks.
Okay.
And then the pooled cash on the last page, is that just the local government investment pool?
Sorry, where's
I
that?
have the same question.
Just on the very last line, Fund 999.
Pooled cash.
Pooled cash.
I would assume that, that's right. I wish Chris Terran has been here every month, but I can make sure with them and get back to you. Yeah, I don't know why exactly that looks like that, because that's sort of misleading. A confusing title for that amount of funds. Since we have a pool, and sometimes we have cash, but we normally wouldn't have anywhere close to that.
Treasure chest.
Amount, yeah.
You have a pool and you have cash, but you don't have cash in the pool.
Right, let me write that down. What is pooled cash?
Well, just
Well, I
looking
asked-
right above,
I'm used to asking that
it's the
almost every
balance
month,
check in the bank account.
because I said, how much money do you have on premises for safety concern? He said, oh, that's not that.
Yeah. You're saying it's the check?
Well, so like,
Oh, I see what you mean, yeah. So maybe it's just, what's in the checking account?
That they set aside to cover the checks that they wrote?
Yeah, so yeah,
Okay.
there's almost a constant ebb and flow between the
Of course.
LGGP and the checking account.
did we lose Celeste?
It looks like she went off camera, but I think she's still there. I don't know. Celeste, yep, she's.
Okay.
Still here, yep, still here.
Probably dinner time.
Okay.
She heard that.
Any other questions?
I would move then we accept financials for September 2022.
I would second.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Sue. All in favor, signify by aye. Opposed, nay. Kyle?
Aye.
Sue?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Celeste?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Thank you so much. Staff presentation, Melissa Ousley.
Yeah. Well, you have something in your packets, but we also have a PowerPoint.
It's very small.
Yes, we will make it bigger, for sure. There we go.
See, she brought her magnifying
I brought,
glass.
it wasn't for yours though.
I like that, you know, adapt as you.
Oh my gosh, this thing has been, it also got my dog's attention.
Okay. Melissa, you just give me the finger and I'll, okay.
Not that finger.
Whatever.
I'll just say dang.
The
here.
nod.
I'll give you a nod.
Okay.
That would be less rude, I think, so. Okay, well, thanks for having me tonight. Melissa Ousley, I do marketing, promotions, and special events. And a little bit about me. I've been here, a little over 2 years.
That's not a good sound. There we go.
Oh, there we are. Perfect.
All right, it seems to, now my ears are gonna work, sorry.
That works. So I have a background in education, writing, marketing, event planning. I started out more working for colleges and universities, and so that's why I have a PhD in higher education, because I worked at the University of Arizona, a couple of community colleges as well, and then I was a counselor person for a time when I was about 500 years ago, but there we are. So one of the things that I really love about working for the district is we have the opportunity to make a difference in our communities and serve our communities. That's really important to me, to be able to have that impact and you know, engage our community members. I do love that we work to make things accessible and increase that access to recreational programming. So that's something we do quite often. And service is important to me. I serve on the Seaside Public Library Foundation. So what I do with them is we raise funds for things such as you know, accessible door latches and, you know, for the restrooms and the main entrance of the library, and we increase the Spanish collection and work on things for their youth program, you know, a makerspace with a 3D printer and early reader backpacks, things like that. So that's really rewarding to me. That's something that's really fun. So I've done that for, I think I've done that for about 3 years now. And then I'm also on the Seaside Downtown Development Association Board, and what I do with that is we work on various events to bring people downtown. We're about to do this next weekend something called Halloween Happening. So it'll be super fun. There's going to be a carnival. We're going to drop a giant, like, 1,000-pound pumpkin off the turnaround. So it's just kind of really a way to promote downtown. And we, as SCPRD, we are actually a part of that organization. So we're a member. And so it kind of makes sense to be a part of that. I also represent a CPRD each week. I attend the Chamber of Commerce meetings for Seaside, and also SBDA, and so that's a really nice opportunity for me to talk to people about what we do and about our program. So it's a nice fit. I'm also the mom of twin boys. They are currently at OSU. Super proud of them. One is studying to be an electrical engineer, and the other is studying conservation biology. And actually, Elliot he's also a lifeguard. He was one of our employees of the month recently. So I did not nominate him. I saved myself from that vote, but yeah, super proud of them. So as far as marketing and promotion, so my job is kind of interesting. It's kind of a hybrid type position. So you'll see that I do different things. But one of the things I do is marketing and promotion. So that kind of dovetails nicely with special events because I'm constantly promoting events. But also our other programs as well. You know, we have swim lessons, we have youth programs, we have our meals program. We just really have a broad array of things that we provide to the community. So I do a monthly newsletter. I'm actually working on that today. And so if you're not subscribed, please do, because it's a great way to get a hold of us and kind of know what's happening. But it gets emailed out to nearly 2,000 patrons. And what we cover in that is, you know, events, programs. For example, we've got our annual closure coming up, so I'll talk about that. We generally have a staff feature called Getting to Know You, so we can kind of help people connect with folks. And we also do our employee month, so that's a feature in the newsletter. If there's news coming from the board that you guys want me to share, we put that in there. If we have partner organizations, we may share about that. Sometimes the school district will have things, so we'll talk about that. So it's really just a nice way for us to connect with the community and let people know what's going on. And we have, I have the average open rate there, 37%. We use MailChimp. So it's a really easy program to use. I really like it a lot. Otherwise, social media. We have, I think Facebook is our primary way to communicate with people. A lot of our patrons tend to use that, but we also have a Twitter account, Instagram account, and so we're able to, you know, connect with people that way. We do have a YouTube account too. The youth board meetings get put on that, so that's a way for people to know what's going on. I would say, you know, one of the reasons Facebook is our primary venue for that is it's a little bit easier to put more information on Facebook as far as, you know, multiple photos, videos, more text, things like that. So that's kind of, I would say, our most prominent way to communicate with people on social media. With Twitter, it's you have such a limited amount of characters that you have to really be brief. And I would say Instagram is a little bit like that too. You can be a little bit wordy on Instagram, but it's a different format. But anyway, we have all three. So we also have our website. So between Darren and I, we update that. And, you know, if ever we have something important to communicate to folks, we put that on the homepage. And then, you know, we have event pages, we have our fitness classes, our outdoor programs, things like that, youth programs. So if you haven't looked at our website, it's a great place to get information. There's a board page as well. Yeah.
I just don't understand the 37% and the 840 open.
So what that
That's
means,
42%.
yeah, so what that means is when we send it out to folks, and that's just kind of on 37% on average, so I took like several months and looked at.
Is that good?
Trends.
It is good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Normal campaigns of this type, most probably knows this, are usually around 20 to 25%. That would be considered good or
Yeah.
industry standard. So an open rate of 40% or around there is well above the industry standard.
Yeah.
A lot of those emails go to people's junk or spam, or people just don't read those type of emails always, as you might know in your personal email. And so, yeah, to have an open rate, I think is good. It shows that we have an engaged audience.
And I mean, the people subscribing, they want to know what's happening, so, you know, they have a vested interest in finding out. One thing I like about MailChimp too is it's easy to see both on your computer and your phone. So that's a nice feature with that. So yeah.
Excuse me, Melissa, when you were talking about the website, you were talking about you use a particular app or service to...
Oh, so the website we use Wix.
Wix?
For our newsletter we use MailChimp.
MailChimp?
Yeah.
Okay.
So those are just kind of standard programs that people use. Yeah. All right, well, we can move forward. So some other things that we do to get the word about what we're doing, we produce program guides. So in the past, we produced a physical copy. We still have that capability, but we did, with the pandemic, try something new, just because, you know, we were having to really adjust the way we were operating. It seemed like, you know, it was all about adjusting to change and evolving and trying to meet needs in an ever-changing environment. So we made a decision in 2021 to save some money and go digital. So right now, if you go to our home page, you can click, there's a little icon that talks about the program guide. You can click on that and get a PDF. We also have it available as printed copies in our lobby of Sunset Pool. So I know not everybody is comfortable with technology, so we want to make that accessible. So that's something that we do, and we do this, about 4 times a year. We have fall, winter, spring, summer, it kind of depends on what, what we have happening as far as that. But it saves a lot of money, going digital, just because printed copies are expensive, to have a physical booklet.
And there was a big booklet, and we were mailing it to everybody in the district.
Postage, I think, was more expensive probably than the actual printing.
Yeah.
So it really has saved us a lot of money. We may, at some point, we may decide to go back. I mean, it's an open decision, depending on our needs. I think, as we get out of COVID, we're gonna see some changes, with things. I think we're already seeing that with some of our programs. So, the other thing I do is, press releases, anytime we have things that we wanna talk about, whether that's events, whether that's a grant we've received, something happening, we do a press release. We also have radio and print ads. So, an example of a radio ad, we worked with, Ohana Media Group, and they did an ad for our Fall Fun Fest. And I think that has been really effective as far as getting the word out to people. We also do print ads, so for example, Daily Historian or Seaside Signal, and then the Visitor's Guide. So if you've ever been to the Visitors Bureau over here, they have a booklet that they produce every year. Well, they work with companies to produce it. And I believe the count is 75,000 that are distributed, but it might be higher this year, it might be 100,000. So we've done that with Seaside and Canyon Beach. Just a print ad talking about us and talking about our facilities and what we offer. So that's great. So that gets us, a lot of eyes on that. We work pretty closely with the Visitors Bureau as well. So if we have events, I'm always talking to them, and they go to the same meetings I go to. So we're constantly talking about what's happening locally, and they do help us out a lot because they too have a website and talk about our events, and as people are coming into town, that's their whole mission, is to have people stay overnight and invest in our economy. So it's a great partnership there. And then of course I mentioned working with these other organizations. We're also on the SCDA walking map, and so what that is through the Seaside Downtown Development Association, they produce a map of Seaside that has any members who are part of the organization who want to be a part of that map are then put on the map with a location and then a little blurb that talks about what the entity is. And so we have that. And so the advantage for us is, when folks are checking into hotels or if they're at restaurants or things like that, it's a way to connect people again. So that's what that is all about. So, and it's a pretty good investment. I want to say it's like $250 a year. So it's for the amount of maps that they give out, it's quite a good investment. All right. So special events. So I was chatting with you all a few minutes ago about how this works. So we have in our budget, it's mostly staff and some supplies, but as far as like these events, we don't necessarily have a line item. It's more about like getting the sponsorship and then being able to spend the money. So we just did our Fall Fun Fest last weekend. It was very busy. We were expecting, so the year before, I want to say we had between 250 to 300 people. And so I was thinking, 300, that would be a great number to have. We had 450 people. It was just a tsunami of people that came in the first hour and a half or so. The year before, I bought 600 pounds of pie pumpkins for the kids to decorate. And so the year before, we had some leftovers that we ended up, giving out. We probably had, 50 or more pumpkins. We ran out completely. Like, they were gone very quickly. So that definitely exceeded our expectations and gives me some things to think about. And I think that this is part of what we're seeing with the trend as far as like as we get out of COVID, as people are maybe handling that in different ways, we're seeing our numbers increase. So that's exciting because, during COVID time, it was hard. It was a challenge. So other things to do, so Seaside Farmers Market, Angie here is our fabulous market manager. So that's something we do in the summer from mid-June to the end of September. It's 16 weeks, and it's out here in the parking lot. I know some of you have been to that before. So we have, I think this year we had 45 to even 50 vendors at times, and it's everything from farmers like Blackberry Bog Farms to, people who are doing, you know, arts, crafts, wineries, just all different kinds of arts and foods. So it's quite a big thing. And so I really have to credit Angie for being our curator, because she does a really good job of trying to have some diversity as far as the vendors, and not having like too many of one particular thing, but like really giving people that variety. So she does a great job in that, and I very much appreciate that. So plus she finds these great musicians as well. So but anyway, that's a lot of fun. And with that, you do have we have a sponsor, so Providence Seaside Hospital sponsored our music this year, so that's how we were able to pay for that. And then for that particular event, we do charge vendor fees, and so that helps us recoup costs as well. And then other events that we have, so we do 5K fun run or walk, if you walk. So we did Run for Change. That was Labor Day weekend. That is generally something where we work with a partner organization to raise funds for a charity. So we went with Helping Hands, Reentry Outreach this year, and ended up raising $1,000 for them. And so that was great. And they helped volunteer, and we had some really good sponsors. So that was a lot of fun. We have Turkey Trot coming up. I think that will follow our Fall Fun Fest trend. We will have a lot of people this year, I think. So we're going to.
Depending on the weather.
Yeah, it depends on the weather a lot. But generally, I don't know, we seem to look out. We're going to hold that over. We're going to start it at our Sunset Recreation Center, because we've got, for weather, we have our lovely check-in desk, and so we won't have to necessarily pitch a tent somewhere and worry about wind or rain or things like that. We'll just have a nice indoor location where we can check people in, give them their runner bags and their T-shirts and their numbers and that kind of thing. And then we'll send them downtown. I know that the local ham radio club is going to help us out with some of that, with runner safety and making sure people are on the route. So we're working on that one, but registration's open if anybody wants to register. So we expect we'll have a lot of people for that. I think last year we had about 300, and I would expect possibly, who knows, maybe more, just because of the trend. We did hold a family dance last spring. That was one we hadn't been able to do for a while because of COVID, but we had over 200 people attend, and people had a great time. Basically, we had a DJ, we used the gem of the SRC, and we had some fun, kind of a dessert bar in the cafeteria, and the theme was medieval. It was a night out with your prince or princess. It was kind of a dad joke, I guess. And so the craft was, they were creating tiaras and crowns and that kind of thing. So it was pretty fun. There was a lot of jewels that we had to sweep up. So
And also in my car.
yeah, probably so, yeah. But that was really fun. And then our annual egg hunt, this is something that we do out on Broadway Field. I think I put 500 attended, but I think we actually had more, because it's, everybody from the little kids to the older kids, and we section off the field by age, so that, so little kids don't get trampled, basically. But we kind of run it where we like to start with the youngest kids, and we'll just kind of have an egg hunt for each age group and go around the field. So we had a lot of really great volunteers for that. I get a lot of help from Key Club, which is the high school, Seaside High School Club through Kiwanis, and then Builders Club, that's the middle school version of that. The teachers we work with are great, the kids we work with are great, and they help a lot with these things. I could not do it without them. So we pulled that off. Sip and Savor, that's something we did in the spring. I believe we did that May 1st, I think. And what we were doing with that's actually through the foundation. So we have two arms. We've got us, who we're a special district, and we have our foundation, which is a nonprofit. We work together to try to raise funds for scholarships, to increase access to recreational programming, or youth programs was our focus this year, and we were raising funds for childcare to increase our program. And so we did that here at the Bob. That was successful. Sip and Savor is basically where we had samples from various local restaurants, and people could come and enjoy that. And then we also had a live auction and a silent auction. So that went really well. And then the Chuck Arts Contest is something that, this was our second year doing it. The first year we did it in 2021 as part of the prom centennial celebration. Our prom was turning 100. And so that was just part of a cluster of activities throughout the year that were celebrating that. So we did it again this year, and people really seem to enjoy it, and we will definitely be able to do it next year because we got a really good grant that's gonna fund it. So, that's great. So there we go. So here are just some photos, so you can kind of, it's just a sample. There's many more I could share, but, you know, for the sake of time. So we just had Fall Fun Fest, Turkey Trot is next with the T-Rex. That was at the Convention Center last year. Our family dance, egg hunt, sip and savor. That's just, you know, a glimpse of the market. There's so much there. That was actually my favorite piece of art at the shop art contest. I have a thing for octopus, so I love it. I actually work on Sundays at the aquarium. Anyway, and then this last one was our Run for Change. That's all our volunteers from Helping Hands. They were really awesome to work with. So. Okay, and then just a little bit about the Seaside Farmers Market. So I mentioned, you know, June through September, it's every Wednesday. One thing I want to mention with this is we have a program to stretch patron dollars. So we work with EBT Snap Match and a program called Double Up 2 Bucks. And how it works is, let's say, for example, someone wanted to charge $20 on their EBT card. EBT is like a food stamps type card. And so we are able to match that to a certain amount. So let's say they spend $20, we can give them an extra $10. We have wooden tokens that we provide. And then through Double Up Food Bucks, we're able to give them additional dollars. They have little cards that are scripts that can be used. And so we can give them another 20 from that. So for their 20, they end up with $50, which is amazing. And this is all, you know, through grants and programs that we're partnered with. But it was really amazing this summer. People really appreciated that a lot. And I think our farmers and our vendors appreciate it too because, you know, it's bringing business to them. And what we do is once the market kind of closes out for the day, we collect the script and the tokens, and then we reimburse those vendors. And that's how that works. So, yeah. And then I mentioned we had the sponsorships from Providence for music. We did, this just kind of gives you a picture of the revenue. Obviously, that number is different from what you saw on your thing. As I mentioned, there's some things that we need to catch up on. It's not quite, doesn't quite match at this point, but it will. And then average, so the way it kind of works is, you know, at the beginning of summer, might start out kind of slow, and it's a bell curve. So by midsummer, we've got our peak, and then things kind of drop off. So our average was 838 patrons, and then our busiest day was 1,088 patrons, 84 dogs, and that's not loading. Sorry. So, which is hilarious because we don't often get cats. Every time we get a bird at the market, we don't usually get cats. But this particular cat was just hanging out on the shoulder, and so he was noteworthy. So, okay. He apparently has his own Instagram page, so if you wanna check it out. So, okay, other stuff. So, again, pretty much every event, how the money works is it depends on what we get as far as sponsorship. So for the egg event, I order, I don't even know, $1,000 worth of eggs. They're stuffed with candy. It depends. It's growing year to year. So I have to go out and find folks that want to give me money. So I ask for a lot of money. And so that's how we cover these sorts of things. What that doesn't cover would be, you know, like me, the work that I'm doing, or, you know, with the Fall Fun Fest, we just had our patron relations specialists who are helping us out, check people in. And that's really essential because even though we have volunteers, they may not be able to do that piece of it. Like with Turkey Trot, we can have volunteers help hand out bags and t-shirts and that kind of thing, but as far as like taking money, we really need like an expert that knows our monetary system. So that's the part that, you know, we have to kind of think about. But as far as like materials for these events, it gets done through sponsorship. So, so this year, we've had over $10,000 in grants for events. We did receive some money from the City of Seaside Tourism Advisory Committee, and that went to the Fall Fun Fest. And then for the Chalk Art Contest, we received $8,000. So that covered this year, 2022, and it will also cover 2023. So that will be covered. We also got more sponsorships, donations for things. That includes the 3,000 from Providence for the Seaside Farmers Market. But yeah, it's always a process. Start out early, start talking to people, and see if we can't get some money for things. The easy thing for me is we have a really good reputation as an organization, so it's pretty easy for me to go out and say, hey, we're doing this really cool event, here's who it serves. Often it serves kids. People like getting to events that serve kids, and so I can really sell it because we have a good reputation, so we're trusted, so that's good. Grants, okay, so I was not actually hired to write grants, which is interesting. I told you this was a hybrid position. I kind of just fell into this because I actually have some grant writing experience prior to this with colleges and universities, and so I've just kind of been working on some things. I think it started out with like some low-end grants, and then when we started talking about expanding our infant and toddler program, we kind of ramped it up, and so I talked with the Oregon Community Foundation, Roundhouse Foundation. We just got a grant with, there's a Clatsop County Coalition that the local hospitals have invested in. So there's a lot of different things. So I did give you guys this document. It's a living document. It's just a way for us to track what has come in, because a lot of these grants are very similar and may even be from the same organization at times. And so I needed a way to know, like, what am I doing? So this just tells you what we've received. I actually have a more complicated spreadsheet that also talks about, when reports are due and who's going to be doing that report and that kind of thing. So that's more for my brain to keep track of this. But you can see we've received over $300,000 in grants for various things. And so you can kind of see which program it's for. Some of it's for special events. Some of it's meals for a warming center. We have a partnership with Helping Hands for that. We're working on a sound booth that is going to help us out at the SRC with various events that we have. We just recently got, you can see Erin, this bottom photo here. Erin is with some of the kids, and we have in SRC sensory tasks. And so these are really fun tasks, but it's kind of hopscotch. They're just really colorful, and they have numbers and letters and colors and shapes, and it helps the kids kind of get out the wiggles as they go from, their classroom to the cafeteria. And so we just got a grant with Pacific Power that we can extend that task to the other gym. So that's going to be really fantastic. We're going to go with the sports team. So this picture was them receiving the check, and so they were super excited about that. And then the picture above is TLC, a division of Fiber Federal Credit Union, has been really generous with us as well, and they've been sponsoring some improvements for our gym. So we redid the floors, which is beautiful. So we're piece by piece, we're getting some things done, which is very exciting. So we also got 2 grants from NRPA, the National Park and Recreation Association. So one of those is about it's $3,000 for a walking program that we're training some instructors to be able to talk about that with patrons. And then the other one is a community wellness hub, and it has to do with increasing access to healthy foods. So that one was $90,000. So that's something that we're working on, and that will have, it will impact the program in a number of ways. There's many things that we do that match really well with that. So so that's that. And then just to kind of wind it up. So our next event is Turkey Trot. As I mentioned, registration is open. We have some sponsors for that. Very happy to partner with Toyota and Local Consulting Group. So that'll be super fun. That will be on Thanksgiving morning, bright and early. And then after that, here at the Bob, we are doing our traditional Thanksgiving meal that's open to anybody in need. It's a hot meal. We're going to have a to-go option and a dine-in option, and that's another partnership with Helping Hands. So really excited about that too. So, all right, any questions? Yes.
I don't know. My main question is, how did you accomplish all this? This is remarkable work.
Oh, thank you.
In my tenure with the district board, I've never seen this much success with our grant writing in a single year. And the things that are sort of promising that are yet to come,
Yeah.
will certainly be stunning. But, I don't know why you haven't won the Pulitzer Prize for writing.
Well, and that's it, she's also an author.
Yes.
I do that sometimes. I have a lot of interests, I guess. Well, I think, one of the things that I found as I was writing grants, and a lot of these grants, I'm kind of telling the same story, I'm just changing it a little bit depending on what that granting organization would like to know. But in some ways, so it's not easy to get grants, it's very competitive. You never know, there's no guarantees if you're going to get it. But I think the thing that works to our benefit so much is, again, we have a solid reputation in the community. We do have community partners that we can speak to, we can talk about all of our different partnerships. I neglected to mention that we just did this really cool event with Consejo Hispano, our Latinx Hispanic Heritage Celebration. I don't know, I think some of you got to go to that.
That was going to be my question.
Okay, yeah, so that's a great example of a partnership where we offered free food that was really delicious from local restaurants, and we had traditional music and dancing. This was all over at the Sunset Recreation Center. We had a vaccine clinic and a resource fair. And I honestly was on the periphery of that. I just kind of helped out with the marketing. There were a lot of really amazing people with SCPRD that got involved with that. Elizabeth McDonald, Jocelyn Rodriguez, Darren, Levi, a lot of people really, partnered together to make that happen. It wasn't me. I was helping out. But the thing is, we do have a solid reputation. We do have strong partnerships, and it's kind of easy to ask for money for kids because we do live in a childcare desert. There's not a lot here. A lot of the facilities have closed. So it's easy to tell that story of, hey, this is a real critical need for our community. We have families who really need this care. And so having a story like that to be able to tell is really compelling. And I think that is why we were able to get some grants, because of our reputation and our compelling story.
Great. I mentioned at our workshop earlier this month that I was disappointed I could not be here in time to attend the Latinx Festival. That was
we'll probably
just a great piece of outreach, and I was very inclusive. Yeah. And it's about time we had success like that.
Yeah, it was really amazing. I mean, the facility was beautiful with all the decorations. There was and Consejo Hispano, they had an army of volunteers that they brought in to do all that. And I know, Levi and Courtney with our maintenance crew, they did a lot of work putting up tables and making sure that everything was beautiful. And so yeah, people worked really hard, and it was well attended. I don't know how many people we had for that, but I want to say about 400. So,
I saw 400 on the
yeah.
night.
Yeah, that's what Louisville said.
Yeah, easily.
That's
easily,
great.
if not more.
For a first time event, I brought my girls down and not really knowing what to expect.
Yeah.
And the parking lot was 100% full, and we walked in and it just greeted by warmth and music and smelling of good tasting food, and it was so that one was fun because it was a way to introduce my children to other cultures, which we don't necessarily have that opportunity in our county.
Yeah.
But I loved seeing all the families making connections to resources that they might not have known existed, and I would love for that to expand. So I guess my question, because that's the one event that I'm not super familiar with and had not seen before.
Yeah.
So was Consejo kind of more so spearhead? I'm just curious, like how that.
We were really the hosting organization. We had the facility, we had some volunteers, but I would say they did a lot of the organizational work in the sense of setting up the vaccine clinic, connecting with folks through the research fair, that kind of thing. But I want to give Jocelyn Rodriguez a lot of credit because she helped find groups to perform. She walked this entire show. She walked miles, literally miles, talking to businesses, getting gift cards and things to the door prizes. Miles. I took her, like,
And she was so
I
excited.
drove her to
Yeah.
like grocery outlet,
Yeah.
but like everything
She-
else, she put in the steps to get it done, and she was really passionate about it, and, she did a great job. And she's, she's somebody that, in her point is valid, we need to do more outreach to, underserved communities, perhaps communities that haven't necessarily connected with us yet. And so I think events like that are so great for that kind of thing, and just, just having that representation is so important.
I truly look at it kind of as a purpose event,
Yeah.
reaching those communities, but then also just, showing it to everybody else that maybe
Yeah.
doesn't get out of Clatsop County often to experience the world.
Yeah.
Are we planning on doing that again, I'm hoping?
I mean, I'll defer to.
I mean, it was so.
But it was
popular. It was amazing.
Successful.
Yeah.
And it was great too, because it was multifaceted, in the sense of there were food boxes that people
Yeah.
could take home,
I
and the
saw
resource
people walking
fair.
out with diapers.
I got my flu shot when I was
Yeah.
there, so it was like so easy to pop in and get your vaccine. I was just like, okay,
Done.
yeah, great, that was awesome, cool.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think it was really great. I hope we can continue with our partnerships with various organizations.
Yeah.
There's a lot of folks out there that we work with.
No, that's great.
Yeah.
You've done a lot of amazing work.
Thanks.
We're very lucky to have you.
Oh, thanks. Well, I really like my job. So.
Good.
Cool. Any other questions?
Yeah, Melissa, I'll just echo what
Yeah,
the other members have said. This is awesome.
thank you.
My question is, are there gaps? Are there gaps that we need to fill yet? Are there,
Oh, do you
are
mean
are
as
there
far as,
needs,
like,
are
as
there
far as
needs?
grants, or as
Well,
far
are
as-
there needs out there that we haven't got grants yet for? Are there, or what are you targeting for the next round of?
Right. Well, we actually do have a grant.
A grant writer.
He's laughing, because we have a grant writer who
Yeah.
is working in a different aspect of this, who's working more on like our capital
Mhm.
campaign. And so that's a totally different focus, and that's something, that will, she's working on. She's kind of identifying some of those needs, which is great. Really, from my part, I'm not like the official grant writer. It's just been more something that I can do, and I certainly feel like it's an important need to expand our youth programs. It was pretty exciting to be able to go into the classroom and see, like, this is the infant room and the toddler room, and wow, it's real, it's a reality, and to see that we're serving those families. So it was just kind of, something that I was excited about. But yeah, I think that, and a couple of years ago, we did a needs assessment with the community, and I want to say it was fall of 2020. And so at that time, we were, that was one of the things we found out about, like, okay, childcare is a real need. And there were some other things that we looked at as well, like, having an indoor facility for fitness, just because of, like, days like today, where it's raining like crazy. So we've done needs assessment. It's probably something that at some point we want to do again, just to connect with our patrons and see what's on their minds and try to understand where the needs are. But it's definitely something that we talk about. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Nice work.
Thanks. All right. Well, with that, oh.
Hey, Melissa, again, echoing what everyone else said, just an amazing amount of work. My only sort of complaint would be is that I would really love to see us telling this story more. I think it's astounding, the story that you told about the number of people that came to the Fall Fest. I think the farmers market, which unfortunately is out of town for some of the farmers markets, but attendance was fantastic. There's a vibrancy in the number of vendors, and I would just love to see us maybe telling that story more, so that citizens who aren't making those events become curious about them and maybe attend. I think it just speaks, it says a lot about all that you're doing to bring the community together, and the role that the Park and Rec is playing to bring the community together, and I just think it's really important. And so I don't know if you have ideas about how we might do that, or do it using our website to do recaps. I don't know exactly what the strategy might be, but I thought you might have some ideas about that.
Yeah, no, I can speak to that for sure. So I just today wrote a press release that I sent out to the media to follow up on our Fall Fun Fest, and so
Oh, great.
send them some photos and kind of a recap of how many attended, and then as well as our costume contest winners. So, and we do have a pumpkin decorating contest that we're doing right now. I posted about that today, where people can send me photos of their pumpkins. So at the Fall Fun Fest, we provided pumpkins to people, but, you know, we didn't have carving because children with knives seem like a bad idea. But we did have, you know, some craft supplies, but it takes, you know, people want to kind of do that and then go off and enjoy the carnival games and stuff. So, so we kind of just made that virtual, like, hey, you know, take your pumpkin home, decorate it, or decorate it here and send me a picture. And so right now I'm collecting photos, so we'll be able to have that feature. But yeah, we, every event that we do, I generally will send out a press release ahead of time to say, hey, this is coming. And then I'll send out something afterwards to say, hey, we did this, and here was the result, here's some photos. And then also in the newsletter as well. So, so our November edition of the newsletter has turkey trot coming up, our Thanksgiving meal. It has a recap of the Fall Fun Fest. It has some other items to it as well. And then in December, we'll be doing a Santa swim, which is basically where kids can come for an open swim, meet Santa, and take home a hot cocoa kit. So, so it's kind of like, have this idea of let's hit it before, and then let's, you know, make sure we remind people afterwards. So that's what we're doing. So,
speaking of outreach, do we translate the newsletter?
We have not gotten there yet. So I have worked with Jocelyn somewhat with some of our flyers and things like that, but that is definitely something I would like to do, is to be able to expand the outreach in that way. So it's a goal to have things be more bilingual and to be able to share in that way. Yeah.
So the way I do mine at the school is run it through Google Translate.
Okay.
And then have our local person just verify that they did it right.
Okay.
And Google Translate's pretty good.
Okay, yeah, I can definitely take that under advisement. One thing I'll say is at the farmer's market, we were really lucky this year, so with me and Angie, it's a lot. Farmer's market, we are there, it's a long day, so we set up in the morning, then we're there, you know, kind of waiting for the vendors to arrive and help them with anything they need, and then we're there all through the market, and then takedown is after 6. It's a long day. And sometimes, you know, it's very busy because we've got the EBT transactions, vendor needs, there's just a lot of pieces that takes a lot of attention, collecting those vendor fees. So we needed a third person, where we, you know, you always need somebody at the information tent, and then you need people to be able to move around and take care of whatever's happening. And so Jocelyn joined us, and it was awesome because she is fluent. And so we were able to connect with more patrons who were coming to the market who were bilingual, and it was fantastic. So I think having her as a resource is amazing, and you know, anything we can do to keep expanding and connecting with underserved populations is great.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you.
With that, I will bid you adieu. Go get some dinner. So.
All right. Have a good night.
Thanks.
Okay, Skylar, you're on occupancy update.
Okay, so both of these updates are going to be fairly brief, but I'm happy to share that we submitted our change of occupancy documents to the city of Seaside about 2 weeks ago, and we got some information back from them, and I know Brandon's been working with them closely to try to identify some of their concerns that they shared with us, but I think that knowing that the documents are in and that they've that we're onto this next phase of help, it's really great news. You know, it's been a long process coming, but happy with where we're at. So I'll keep the board posted as soon as I know something more. But yeah, kind of trusting it to the experts at SEA, including Brandon. And then for Broadway Field, again, no serious updates. There is the community presentation tomorrow night at 6 p.m. in the Sunset Recreation Center Library, where the school district and their hired experts are going to present the plan to the public and get feedback from the public. And there will also be, weather permitting, I think, an opportunity for folks to walk out on the field and see, you know, where the softball field is proposed to sit and how the project might come together. I know the school district is working hard to kind of get things in a row lined up so that they can proceed if given approval, and they're planning on presenting at City Council or sharing information at City Council on, I believe it's November 12th. So if you'd like to attend or tune in, City Council provides those City Council meetings. You can participate virtually pretty easily, or you can go in person. But I would expect if it all goes well with those couple meetings coming up, then they'll be given the approval to move forward with the site, and they will start really heavily planning. And come May or so, that part of the district property as well as the city property will be a whirlwind of activity and things moving around and lots of stuff happening, just to sort of fit everything in the timeline that they need to.
Where will we stand on the acquisition of our property to, accommodate this move?
Yeah, so we haven't gone too far down that road yet, but we have talked about it, and I think they want to wait until they're given permission to use the property. But as soon as that permission is given, I think there's going to be a series of discussions that need to take place, and that's one of the pieces that will be on the table. It makes a lot of sense to returf the existing field at this time, and so that's another piece that will be on the table. They've offered to help update our locker rooms in the Sunset Recreation Center and potentially change the space from being just 2 locker rooms, a men's and a women's locker room right now, to a series of locker rooms / team rooms. There's a bunch of storage space there that they have talked about converting. And so that could be part of the discussion too. Then, providing the funding for that project to move forward, which would obviously be really helpful for us. So yeah, there's lots of kind of pieces that are sort of kind of up in the air until we get this green light to go forward, and then after that, I think it'll be necessary for us to work together quickly and be responsive and meet and hopefully find solutions that are appropriate for all 3 of the parties.
It's difficult. I plan on attending tomorrow night.
Great. Yeah, I'll be there too. And yeah, I know they've done some other engagement. I think the feedback that they've gotten is good as far as the site and the plan that they have laid out. So, it's not ideal that we're in this situation as a community, but trying to make the best out of it as we can right now.
It appears that the council meeting is the 7th, the 12th is a Saturday.
Oh, yeah, no, I can't be right.
I know that.
So, yeah, it would be the second Monday of November, which would be the 14th, maybe?
And then that would, it's the second Monday.
I'm guessing it's that, yeah.
Because the first Tuesday the first is on a Tuesday.
Okay, yeah, sorry about that.
So it'll be the 14th then?
So many dates in my mind. That's the date, that Monday is when I was told that they're presenting.
Okay.
Let me look, actually, I know I have it in my calendar.
I'm looking at, I didn't know about the pancake fee, but, unfortunately for me, I like to go to city council meetings, and I got me in a play, and so I can't go to anything, including city council meetings.
Yeah, it is the 14th. My calendar confirmed, so sorry, stayed the wrong date. Second Monday in November. Lots of dates running through my mind. I think that's it, unless there's other questions about either of those old business items. Continue to have those on the agenda just to make sure we're sharing updates.
I think it's great that we're making progress on the occupancy permit.
Yes.
Always on my mind. New business.
Yeah, so last month we presented a resolution to the board, and it was adopted, thankfully. And I know our friends at Special Districts are happy that we adopted it. And what was suggested at the time, and I think is good direction, is that the board select a designee from the board to work with me for when these opportunities happen, if they happen, and the timing doesn't work, so that I can bring it in a public meeting to the whole board. But this would be somebody that has some express authority to approve our participation in, advocating for certain things to work out. And Kyle, I don't know if you followed the meeting that we had last month, but basically Special Districts encouraged us to adopt a policy that would enable staff to act quickly in term, so that when there was timing issues that arose, that where we needed to lobby for something or write a letter to a senator, and it specifically kind of was in retroactively because of the ARPA funds situation where cities and counties were provided a substantial amount of ARPA funds through the state of Oregon, but special districts weren't given any. And when they were asked why, the legislation said that they didn't hear enough from special districts, and a lot of special districts weren't able to contact their legislators because the timing was such that we didn't have a board meeting and I couldn't get necessarily approval from the board. So this policy allows me to follow. I'm not going to go out on my own, and advocate for strange things, but I'm going to follow the direction that special districts give us. Is if they ask us for assistance or for a letter or something, then and it fits within what I feel like our standards and what our needs are and our advocacy priorities, if you will, then I'll work with this designee, maybe propose something to them, they can sign off on it or make edits if they so choose, and we can get it submitted in a quick fashion. So what I'm really looking for is someone from the board that is willing to take on that role.
I think the person who's not in the room would be great.
I agree with that idea, and I think that designee should be a board officer if possible.
Well, she fits two of those. Do we?
I'm happy to take on that role unless someone else would like to take it on.
Crickets.
I'm too new.
Yeah, I would say a motion would be great.
And
That way,
can I also ask that get revisited, maybe on an annual basis? Maybe at the time that we select officers or something like that, if you're going to have a designee, that it's not because I think it would be nice to have other folks have an opportunity to do that.
I would make a motion that we designate Celeste Wagner to be our
Board representative.
board member.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Mike and Kyle. All in favor, signify aye. Opposed, nay. Kyle?
Aye.
Sue?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Celeste?
Abstain?
Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you. All right, the next item is I shared with you that we have an agreement from the Klosh Group, and we have a couple of their staff that have been waiting patiently to discuss, but I wanted to invite them because I think they're the experts in this. But just to sort of set the table, Klosh Group, we've been working with them since we started developing an interest in purchasing the middle school, and had really great experiences as they guided us through the investigation phase. I can't remember if that's what we called it, but as we did our reports and tried to ascertain if this was a good fit, what kind of condition the building was in. And we've continued working with them. Sometimes it's, intense and they're doing lots of work for us, and sometimes it's, there's not as much work to be done. But we have some needs coming up that I feel like they can really support us with, and they have the expertise to do so. And so we have Chris and Jeremy from Klosh Group, and I'll let them kind of jump in, but I know they're available. Chris, I was hoping maybe you can just lay out kind of that, there you go, kind of those purposes of this agreement and how's it going, and just introduce yourself to the board, and then if they have questions, they can ask, and we really appreciate your time.
Yeah, certainly. I apologize. I tried to be there in person, but there was a wreck on 101 3 miles north of Cannon Beach.
Yeah, we saw that.
That I sat in for 15 minutes before turning around. So, my name is Chris Mastandrea. I'm a project manager with Klosh Group. I'm a local to Archgate, so definitely near Seaside. Yeah, this continuation, this agreement is basically a continuation of some of the work that we've been doing for Broadway Middle School, and then we kind of rolled in additional work that we're going to be doing for the master planning scope for the district as a whole. Yep, Skylar invited us to field any questions that the board may have. We've prepared an agreement based on the phases, the scope of work that we see that are upcoming for those 3 phases. Basically, the change of use phase for Broadway Middle School, the deferred maintenance that's going to be required on that building and how to strategically plan for that, and then the master planning in which the next agenda item is the proposal that we received from Scott Edwards Architecture and SFC in order to conduct that. So that's me, and I'll introduce Jeremy as well, or I'll let him introduce himself.
Sure, my name's Jeremy Stremy. I suppose I'm a local to Portland. I don't know if that's good or bad, but the other side of the mountain. I am fairly new with Closh, but I'm a vice president and project manager too. We all run work, and I came from Providence. Was there for about 9 years, running real estate and facilities and capital work. So I'm here to support Chris. And on the master planning side, I think provide some insight. And what I'm really good at is financial stewardship and making sure that the limited funds that you guys have are going to the right spot. So I'm always good at asking lots of probing questions and making sure that any of the architects and the recommendations that are going with the master plan, that we hold them accountable for you guys. So anyways, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Thank you both for being here.
Thank you.
So, Chris kind of shared sort of the 3 needs identified and addressed by their proposal, and they're all pretty significant in their own way. But yeah, the first is helping us. Obviously, we've got the occupancy documents turned in, submitted, and we expect to hopefully get some feedback from the city as to, do they accept the documents? Can we get a temporary permit in writing that allows us to continue using the building? And then that next part of the process will be identifying, okay, these are the things that we have to do, finding the right contractor to work with to do those things. And it's obviously a lot more complicated than that, but that's how my elementary school mind processes it. So that's one kind of phase. And then the second phase, obviously we did our assessment work with the building, and we know, generally speaking, the condition of the roof, the HVAC system, the building envelope, all those types of things. We have those reports, but what we don't necessarily have is dialed in numbers about what replacing those systems might cost, and also what is the priority for making those capital upgrades. And so I think their team of experts will help us kind of get through that and say, okay, this is the thing that we think you should tackle first, second, third. Here's what rough costs for those projects might be. We have our own ideas as staff, and maybe board has their ideas too. But I think there's a need for some outside experts that do this kind of stuff often. And then that third part, we were anticipating maybe getting a bunch of proposals for our strategic planning process. We only got one, which is, it would be bad if I think the proposal wasn't from an organization or organizations that we were comfortable with and probably trust a lot. But I still think there's a need for us to work together, assess the proposal, hopefully, whatever, if we're going to accept it or not. But then as we go through the process with the consultants that we hire, making sure that we get what we need out of it, out of the experience. And Closh Group, like I said, has been really important in helping us get to those good conclusions at the end by holding those consultants accountable, kind of driving the issue when need be. It hasn't been an issue very much, but it's just really helpful to have that external party that's kind of looking out for our best interests. You guys have any questions for them?
Yes.
Go, Kyle.
And please understand that I'm drinking from a fire hose here and trying to catch up quickly. So I've looked at your contract, but I'm trying to figure out what it is that the contract says you're obligated to do. Because I'm trying to figure out what the scope of work is. And it sends me back to Exhibit A, but but Exhibit A just makes broad statements about the program scope and objectives, and I don't know what those are. So I'm trying to figure out what is the output that we can expect when this is over.
You go for it, Chris.
Sure. So the easiest way to tackle it is like Skylar had mentioned, we've been doing work for the highest and best use programming that we did for the Broadway Middle School. So it's sort of a continuation of that scope, in that we've arrived at a spot with Scott Edwards Architecture that we know we need to submit, and they have recently submitted to the city for the change of use that's required, based on kind of the back and forth between Bob Mitchell, who's now retired, but on retainer apparently, and hopefully is going to stick around, so we can see this thing out. So that's kind of one portion of that. So basically when that permit comes back, and permits have been taking a long time through all the jurisdictions, there's going to be a lot of work that's involved with getting subcontractors and general contractors to bid that work that's going to be required. We're going to need firewalls in there. You're going to need new double swinging doors, fire alarm work, things of that nature in order to get the city to buy off on the change of use for Broadway Middle School. So getting that price budgeted, approved by the board, and then ultimately contracting, overseeing the construction of it, that's kind of that first phase for Broadway Middle School. So that's sort of the deliverable, if you will, is you'll have a building that is now compliant with the code in order to use. Does that make sense for the first phase?
It makes sense. So this agreement is for phase 1, or is it for
it's for 3 phases that Skylar and I discussed, and we determined that this is the best for the agreement. The agreement that we had beforehand was, gosh, I'm not even sure, was that 2019 or 2020? So it was a bit outdated. We had an initial amount and one small change order. So we decided that, based on the master planning and moving forward, we would just do a new agreement to update us for labor rates and whatever else. So the agreement as a whole is the 3 phases. The first phase I just described. The second phase being Broadway Middle School, we had some assessments. Scott Edwards Architecture and some MEP consultants went out there, exterior scan, and there are going to be some things that we're going to want to tackle on that building, and some of them are going to, we're going to want to have happen before other ones that need to happen. So I think that that's going to involve getting out there in the contracting field and determine what is the best use of our money, and the sequencing that would need to happen under. So that's what we're kind of calling phase 2.
I would just, the acronym MEP is mechanical, electrical, plumbing.
Sorry.
So, no, it's fine.
Yeah. And then lastly, that third phase is really what Skylar just mentioned with the RFP that went out for master planning for the entire district. So that the 10 to 15 year plan that's out there. And while a deliverable is kind of hard, the board member asked for, what is the deliverable there? I guess at the end of the day, it is a sufficient master planning document that will help guide the board to make decisions now that are going to, affect the board and where we want to see the district going in 10 to 15 years. So it's that one's a little bit harder to actually have a deliverable on. It's oversight of that master planning effort with Scott Edwards and SFC, if they are the awarded firm that will do that work. And with Jeremy's help, who has a lot of strategic experience with Providence Health, I think getting to our end line, our finish line in Q2 of next year, and being able to deliver that document, making sure that it's relevant, it has all the things in there that the district is asking for. That's kind of the goal for phase 3.
I would just add to that the idea, the main, in my mind, success looks like, and you guys, the district getting the uses they want, at the least amount of cost and facilities as possible. So however that looks like, supporting that community, with your guys' goals. Our goal is to make sure that you're doing that at minimal cost to upgrading buildings, don't maintain them if you don't need them, whatever that looks like, we can really kind of help do that process. And sometimes architects and some of the consultants need a little bit of pushback. And they like to build, that's what they want to do. The best case scenario for me is for you guys not to spend any money on those buildings and get the uses that you need out of them. So there's a balance, and I think Chris is very good at that as well. So I think that's, if you could say that's a deliverable at the highest and best use and good stewardship for the finances to get what you need to support the community, I suppose that's the deliverable in the end.
Thanks, Chris and Jeremy. And I just have one more question, and it's on the front page, section C, compensation. And it says that we'll pay the rates that you've articulated, but I'm not sure if the maximum amount under this contract includes expenses or not, because it speaks specifically to the compensation for services performed, but it doesn't articulate expenses. So is that a max, expenses plus services? Or is that services only? I just wanted to get a number.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, the amount that should be there that I'm looking at is the 28,000, and that's including expenses. That's like, mileage, that sort of thing. And I think the other thing to note too is it's a max. So we only bill, it's not lump sum, we're only going to bill the hours that we spend, and that all gets approved through Skylar. So, just kind of what we're working on, Chris, I'm sure, is going to be checking with him on a very regular basis and kind of managing to that max. So we're saying we can assist, and I think what we don't use, you don't pay, so it goes back to the district.
Yeah, and I don't have a problem with the number. I just wanted to make sure I understood what the number included. So.
No, yeah, that's a great question, and the reimbursables are included in that number, and there was an estimated amount of reimbursables. I don't think we'll get anywhere near there.
Well, the commute from Orange Cape is, how many miles is that?
Well, yeah, today it was supposed to be about 12 miles, but it was 12 miles, and I didn't even make it to Seaside.
Yeah.
The timing was not great on that wreck.
No, everybody's okay. Can I ask on Exhibit D, why we waived the automobile liability insurance? Is that simply because we covered it elsewhere?
It's a great question. I don't know. I'm not looking at the agreement. Could you hear that?
It's on page 14.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now. I'm not sure, actually. We certainly can include it. There's no question about it. Maybe that's an error on our part. I don't know, Chris, do you know why that would be?
I don't know. We can look over the last agreement that we had and see if it was the same scenario. But yeah, we can certainly look into that exhibit.
I mean, we have no problem carrying that. I mean, that's not an issue for us.
So
Good catch. Thank you.
I was curious. Okay, on page 3, Skylar, did you sign this?
What?
Did you sign this?
No, not yet.
So they misspelled your name.
Okay.
And I'm sorry, I have a problem with that because I think the devil's in the details. So it should be spelled correctly.
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
So I just.
No big deal. It's SkYler. It happens a lot, as you might imagine. So thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Well, it's also on page.
I saw that too, and I had it circled. Kind of assumed it'd be corrected.
If there's any consolation, the moment that I saw that, I informed our contracts administrator that sent that out. So we can get that correct.
Well, it sounds like we need to make a change with the auto insurance as well, so that's a good opportunity to do that.
On that same page, the, auto, or the insurance page, the last paragraph, it says within 30 days of an executed consultant. I think you probably meant agreement.
Or contract.
Another point, yeah, how embarrassing is that? No, we're not executing anybody, especially ourselves, but yes, we will make executions as well.
So, I have a question. I'm not quite as detail-oriented as my colleagues, so thanks for the great catches, all. And sort of a bigger picture question. So as we've gone into this master planning phase, at least the way I'm looking at it and how it differs from the initial highest and best use analysis that we did, is that, you know, my expectation for the master plan phase is that we're looking at district activities and facilities as a whole, and not just what we're doing with the Broadway building. And so to that end, I guess I'm wondering if there was any discussion in the second phase, the deferred maintenance phase, any discussion, or if there's room for, Skylar, I don't know if you've thought about this, to think about any deferred maintenance that needs to be managed at any of our buildings. Because I know that I've come to really value the Klosh Group's perspective and ability to help us prioritize sort of the size and urgency of the stuff we're tackling. These are big projects, and I've appreciated your expertise.
Yeah, I agree, and I guess from my perspective, I'm hoping that strategic plan lays some of that out for us, particularly when it comes to the Sunset Pool, because I think that's probably one of the biggest, you know, glaring needs that we'll have to address moving forward. It's 45 years old or so. So in addition to the SRC, yeah, I'm not sure if the proposal honestly included some of that needed detail to come out, but maybe that's something that we can either ask our consultants that we select to help us through, or we can work with the Klosh Group independently of their work on some of this other stuff to help us with that, because I think that's a really good point.
So I think mine is the question around maybe doing a parallel effort with the deferred maintenance and the...
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, just because I think the master plan, it is really important that we look at the entirety of the district's facilities and programming and what we're going to prioritize. So as a board member, what I'm hoping to get out of the selected contractor for the master plan phase, and hoping to get guidance from you all about, is sort of what do our next 5 years look like, and how are we going to prioritize what happens when. And so while it's fun to look at the, it's important and sort of sparkly to look at what's going on with the new building, or new to us building, I do want to balance that with what the district needs as a whole.
Agreed. We can definitely support that. I think that work and understanding what the needs are, we can certainly tie to facilities and then really kind of start, providing more informed decisions for you guys around where you spend that limited capital. But yes, I think we can definitely do that.
And it's also going to help us think about sort of where we target our fundraising or, our resource development for these projects, right? And so we have to prioritize that too. And so I'm hoping that the master plan that we end up with will help put us on a path towards making a case either to the community or to prospective funders and so forth. And again, I think we're going to get questions about, well, if you're doing this over here, what are you doing over here? And I want to be prepared to answer that.
I think if we do it right, we should be able to address all of that. Absolutely.
Yeah, the master plan RFP that was written included that as part of the scope of services, and same with certainly assist in getting pretty much the same thing done that we're going to need to do on Broadway Middle School, which is define a scope of work, get it permitted, get it budgeted, get it approved, and then execute. So, yeah, that's a good note.
Thanks.
So I'm sorry, I now have two more questions based on everything else. What's the macadam office project management in relation to Klosh and all that? Is that?
Where is that?
It's on page 12, in the first sentence. I thought that was maybe where your address is, but I don't think that's accurate.
You win the award for just finding every single thing that I could find prior to this meeting that was wrong. Yes, macadam was our old address. That is no longer our current address. And just so I can get one out ahead of you, Jeremy's title is not a vice president of product services. Yeah, so that is another fine catch added to our.
I was going to ask if he knew Bill Olson or William Olson, but so.
There's more.
On page 14, I'm trying to understand number 5. I'm so sorry. Why?
No,
don't be sorry at all.
What's Prosper Portland?
I'm sorry, go ahead and repeat that.
On number 5, at the very end, it says consultant or its insurers to Prosper Portland. What is that? What's capital?
That's probably, I'm not sure what that is, Chris, but I'm assuming that's left over from a different client that's there or what insurances that we had to carry on top of that. We can fix that.
Great catch.
Well, it's a contract.
Wow.
All right, but, yeah. We did good planning.
We can hire these guys out if you would like to have them
Well, I was
review.
gonna say, are you available to contact for? No, that's good comment.
A lot of comments.
Thank you for that.
And then you had one comment about William Olson. Was that something you found in here?
Oh,
or
no,
something
that
you know
was
from
something related to Providence, because I'm a 35-year employee, and William
Oh, you are?
William Olson was one of my instructors, and he's the CFO for finance. So I expected that Jeremy is fully familiar with him, because you actually spoke like he did, just briefly, and I thought, because he was my instructor in my master's program in nursing at University of Portland. And what an amazing, gifted guy.
I spent the majority of my time with Providence for the sisters working in everywhere other than Oregon. I was Montana, Alaska, kind of California. I was on a plane a lot, so it's nice to be working for Klosh and at least not on a plane. Drive out to the coast is a heck of a lot easier. So.
And so where Jeremy wasn't, I was. So I worked at PPMC for, 7 or 8 years with a general contractor named Fortis. So I know William Olson pretty well.
Yeah.
Cool.
Small world. Yeah.
Small world.
That's all I
Any other
No, those are good.
questions?
Maybe you should put Kyle and me together, because we're like hobnobbing over
We
here.
like it.
I don't think this works.
I can pat you both on the back right now. Yes.
I'm just worried about the executive consultant.
Well, yeah, I know, me too, actually.
So Skylar, would it be appropriate for us to, accept this? Are you looking for a board acceptance of this?
Yeah, I am,
consultancy?
and for a couple of reasons. One, I think it exceeds the amount of funds that I'm able to spend without the board's permission, but also I think it's just for visibility and for the board to understand what Klosh's involvement is. Like Chris said, we had an original kind of scope of work that we were going to use them for, and they've stuck by our side, helping us here and there. But this is, I think we're entering into kind of a new era in our relationship, we'll say.
Yep. So I'm comfortable making a motion to accept this contract with Klosh Group with the revisions noted, in the minutes.
Thank you, Celeste. Do we have a second?
I'd second that.
Thanks.
I
Yeah, go
just
ahead.
have a comment on the motion itself. And that is, can we just authorize Skylar to correct any scrivener's errors that we've already found or that he might find later? Because there might be
Yeah.
more in here.
Yeah, I
Just
think,
give Skylar the authority to fix those little things that.
Skylar should definitely,
I'd like you to spell your name right, Skylar.
So I accept that, I'll accept that amendment to my motion.
Okay.
Okay.
I will second that amended motion.
Thank you, Mike. All in favor, signify aye. Opposed, nay. Kyle? Sue?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Celeste?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate your time and patience while we work through some stuff tonight. And we look forward to working with you in the
Thank you
future.
both.
Yeah.
Yeah, hey,
Thanks so much.
Chris, Jeremy, as you noted, our next item on the agenda is reviewing this, the proposal that we did get. So I know I sent it to you. I'm not sure if you want to hang on and discuss the proposal with us, or if we should table for a later date. But the timeline that we set in the RFP would indicate that I'm hoping the board can make a decision maybe today, and I can work with the consultants to get our timeline lined up and get a contract signed and ready to go. Were you planning on staying around for this part?
I can stay around, certainly.
Yeah, absolutely. We're more than happy to stay. Yeah.
All right, well, yeah, just to kind of switch gears a little bit, like I said, we received this one proposal, but it's from a group that we've worked closely with before, and I think there's some benefit and understanding that they have to having worked with us. I know I was pleased with the process that we went through with the highest and best use for the SRC planning, but I think there's the reason why we needed this document. One is because we've never had, at least as far as I can find, a strategic plan, master plan that gets all of our facilities and things kind of on the same page and consideration of where we're at right now and where our community is and the needs that are out there. And then I think it's really important for us to figure out how we're going to prioritize our like has been said, our limited funds for what's going to happen in the future. We don't have a blank checkbook, and so it's important for us, for staff, to have the knowledge, and I think a good plan will give us that, but the knowledge to make decisions and allocate resources and work to, provide the highest level of service that we can possibly provide. There's always conflicting needs about we should invest our resources here or there, but I think if we take a balanced approach and we have a planning document that will help guide us, I think that will be really beneficial. Chris or Jeremy, have you had a chance to review the proposal, and do you have any feedback or thoughts on it?
I'm sorry, I unmute there. Yes, we've both reviewed the proposal. It would have been nice to have multiple proposals to be able to review. We, threw some hours in there to do an evaluation. So, this will easily be a quicker evaluation. We believe that Scott Edwards and their team, their SSC consultants, are going to be a good fit for this master planning strategic report that we've asked them to complete. So they've understood the scope of work. Working with Brandon previously, he's well in tune with what the district's needs are. So yeah, we're on board with recommending them.
Do you have any questions?
I'm just is there any thought as to why no one else applied?
Yeah, I don't know if I could, maybe Chris or Jeremy can speak to this better than I can, or other board members. I would say, I think we had 3 proposals for the SRC strategic plan, and I think we reached back out to the 2 that we didn't select, but I would say maybe they had I know at least one of them had a bad taste in their mouth from us not selecting them, thought that they were a shoo-in based on some previous work that they had done with us, and then for us to not select them, I think their feelings got a little hurt maybe, and so maybe they didn't want to propose. I think also, from what I know about folks in this world, they're very busy right now, and so they maybe have the ability to pick and choose a little bit about which projects they want to be a part of. Obviously, we have a location that's not super convenient for everybody to get to, or wants to embrace those drives over Highway 26, you know, early in the morning or late at night, right? And it's great that we have Chris. He doesn't have to go over the mountains, just over one or two mountains, hopefully. But I think it's those could have contributed to that. I'm not sure those 2.
I mean, I
Yeah.
like this company,
Yeah.
having been thankfully familiar with them.
Yeah.
But I know one of our complaints was, why don't we have somebody more local? And, well, if they don't apply, they're, for whatever reason,
Yeah.
we can't make them apply. So I think it answers its own question.
Yeah, we did post the RFP on the special districts website of Oregon, the ORPA website. We posted it on our own website, and we distributed it in an email to a bunch of people that had expressed interest before or had applied to participate in our previous RFPs of this type. And yeah, I mean, what we got is what we got. I thought it was interesting, I guess, along those notes. The first proposal that we got for the previous project, that came more from SFA with, I think, SEA kind of on the side.
Yeah.
But this proposal, I felt like, came more from SEA with SFA on the side. Maybe it's 50-50. I don't know exactly how they'll break up the work, but I was really happy with that because we've gotten really familiar with the work of SEA in our region, in our state. We took Celeste and Mike, we went on a tour and saw some of the facilities that they were a part of in Newburgh and Lincoln City, and I'm trying to remember where the other one was. But those were really positive experiences, and I've talked to colleagues in those areas, and they really speak highly of the community engagement piece that SEA was able to facilitate for their planning or for their processes.
I was happy.
Yeah.
So Skylar, are you looking for acceptance of the proposal?
I think so, yeah. Acceptance and a motion that you're okay with me proceeding with the next steps of this, which I think would be lining up a contract and getting things kind of locked in with them as far as when they're going to start. I know they laid out some of that in the
Is there
document.
a cost associated with this contract?
I didn't see the price in the RFP.
Yeah, so that's a great question. Actually, Chris and I were emailing a little bit about that. So I would expect that there obviously will be a cost. When we participated with them on our just the plan for the middle school, it was around $60,000 for the plan that was presented, final project, and that was done in kind of 2 payments. I would expect this one to be at least or more of that, just because it's a bigger project. We did set aside money. The board set aside some money in a kind of board discretionary fund for some of this that was talked about. That we also have some funds in the admin, the admin budget for consulting fees. We have some money in the Sunset Recreation Center budget that I think would be applicable to this because that's a big part of this planning. So we have the funds, and I think this is a really important step for us as an organization to get this in place for, like I said, the next 10 to 15, 20 years.
I'm hopeful that by getting a strategic plan in place, that will assist our grant writing.
Yes.
Yeah.
We'll be able to point to it and say, this is what we want the funds for.
Yeah, I agree. I think So I'm super excited about working with these, two groups again. I do think there is, I think we'll see a big benefit because of the highest and best use work that they did. I think my concern about that on the flip side is redundancy, right? I don't think we want to repeat, the same activities and we don't want to rerun that process and be paying for that again. And I think what I'm having a bit of a hard time imagining is what we end up as a final deliverable on this, and what that master plan looks like. And I'm hoping that we can have some help from the CLOSH to shape that and flesh that out a little bit more and to be a little more concrete. Because as a board member, one of the things I'm hoping is that we actually have a plan that we can go and talk to folks about, right? And build excitement in the community and actually go and knock on some doors and see where we get some interest for the projects that are included in the master plan.
Well, what we could do, and I completely agree, having a work session to understand deliverables, just period. I mean, understanding what the district needs, whether that's for fundraising, whether that's for it's feeding a pro forma, return on an investment, you know, however you're paying for this, we want to make sure obviously that there's clear deliverables outside of that, and then we could reiterate that with this group here and make sure that we're very clear on the price and how it's broken down, so there's some clarity to it.
Yeah.
Agreed.
I'm still.
I think having your assistance with that would be super helpful.
I think it would be good to have a clear cost and a clear deliverable.
Well, on page 6 of this, there's a spot called pricing, and help me if I'm off in the field. It says the design team examines market prices of usage fees, rental rates, registration fees. SFC sets prices. I mean, is that?
So I think that's looking at a service that they would provide as part of the plan. So they're going to look like they did a little bit with our previous plan. They're going to look at
The fee
schedule that we have, but also at our competitors or other people in this marketplace.
So, just forgive me, an RFP, shouldn't it include how much it's gonna cost?
I guess I don't necessarily know if that's always the case. I think it can be. I think either, I'm not sure if any of the RFPs that we got for the previous plan included the price. I think we worked that out with the consultant that we select at a later date. Sometimes the RFP includes a budget range or a not to exceed this is what basically our budget is. And we didn't include that because I think we weren't sure exactly how much this costs. I've heard everything from $10,000 to $100,000 for this type of plan, depending on the agency and what they're actually hoping for. So.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, just so I understand the steps. So, tonight the board approves the RFP, and then sometime in the next couple of weeks, you'll sit down with the vendor and articulate a scope of work. And then in that scope of work, they will identify how many hours for each thing, and then we'll have a final price in the contract. Okay.
And we'll approve the contract. Yeah, and I think that even the approval of the RFP could be reworded to say all maybe we're looking for tonight is approval of the selection of these partnering agencies.
And then authorize you to enter into negotiations
Yeah.
with.
Something like
I
that.
could easily approve that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm in.
Yeah.
All right, somebody make an official motion.
I'll move that we accept this vendor for our RFP and authorize Skylar to work with the vendor to develop a contract, bring back to the board.
Perfect.
And
Thank
second
you,
that.
Kyle. Thank you, Sue. All in favor, signify by opposed, nay. Kyle, Sue,
Okay.
Mike,
Aye.
Celeste.
Aye?
Aye, motion carries. Thank you so much. And thank you, Jeremy and Chris, for hanging with us.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Yeah.
Thank you, have a good one.
You too.
We need a motion to move into executive session. Can somebody read that?
So I move that we go into executive session for the purpose of conducting deliberations with persons designated by the governing body to negotiate real property transactions pursuant to ORS 192.6601E.
We have a second.
A second.
Thank you, Mike. All in favor, signify aye, opposed nay.
Aye.
Kyle, you keep.
All right.
Sue. Mike. Celeste.
Aye.
I don't want to pass me before.
Motion carried. I have We're gonna fly
I've
through
been
it.
hanging on for an hour.
We're gonna fly through it too. Okay,
No, trying not to throw up.
do you have a motion?
You already, oh,
I don't have one written now.
Kyle, you wanna make a motion?
Have I exhausted all my motions?
No,
as a
you're
new
good.
member yet?
getting it.
I move that we proceed forward with surveying and appraisal process of the property at
You can just say,
Broadway
discuss.
and Roosevelt. Survey and appraisal as discussed, and authorize Skylar to work with the city toward a cost sharing agreement.
You have a second?
I'll second that.
Thanks, Mike. Kyle?
Aye.
Sue?
Aye.
I forgot.
Mike?
Aye.
Les?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Okay, fly.
Thanks,
Skylar.
folks. All right, just a few reporting items for me. You'll see in your packet the district goals update. We're nearly through the calendar year, which is crazy, but a lot of the goals have had some substantial progress on. We've shared a little bit about occupancy. Grant writer is moving along fine. The master plan is obviously moving forward, so that's great. I'm happy to share that last week, on Monday of last week, we began infant and toddler care it was October 17th, so we've been going for a little over a week. It was a very busy and challenging week, but we made it through, adjusting to the littles that we're now caring for, their schedule and their sleeping, and kind of adapting the room and all those kinds of things that you can imagine. We have 8 of our 9 slots filled, and that 9th slot is probably going to be filled in the next week or so with a kiddo who is just kind of getting a little more comfortable with the thought of leaving the home, and mom and dad were getting more comfortable also. Goal number 5, again, happy about. We have hit a little bit of a road bump recently with a lack of staff in the aquatic department. We're trying our best. We've got 2 new staff that were onboarded last week and started this week. Isaiah and other staff, including Justin, have been helping out with providing lifeguarding time and things like that. But yeah, we're still a little bit short-staffed on aquatic, for lifeguards on aquatic staff. I'm really happy that we're going to have our new aquatic features installed over shutdown, so that'll be really fun. I encourage you to come by after shutdown and check those out. Climb up the wall or go on our zip line. Item number 6 is kind of in a holding pattern still. 7 you're fully aware of, and 8 was completed and implemented in September. So just happy about the direction that the board provided to move forward on those goals, and we'll keep working on them for the next couple of months, and probably should figure out some time in January to identify what are our goals for next year. As far as some other things I wanted to share, you heard a little bit about our special events upcoming and past, really successful, and proud of the work of Melissa and Jocelyn and some of our other staff. Wanted to share that today we made an offer to a new Human Resource and Administrative Coordinator. Her name is Haley Wilding, and she is going to join the district on November 14th, I believe. Taking the place of Tina Olea, who moved to California. And we had a really hard time choosing this person because we had 4 exceptional finalists, and I was really happy with the quality of candidates that we had. But looking forward to working more with Haley. Our board meeting for November is scheduled for the week of Thanksgiving. So just want to make sure the board was aware of that. I know that works for me. I'll be here Tuesday the 22nd. I did want to have a brief discussion about our December board meeting, which just the 4th Tuesday is the Tuesday after Christmas, which is the 27th. I know there was a discussion from at least one board member. I won't share their name. I think we should cancel it. And I would be supportive of that, or potentially moving that meeting to a different date. But I know December is a very busy time, and last year we canceled that meeting. I think it's kind of customary just because of the holiday schedule and people's travel that maybe we adjust. Sue?
I get to be in Chicago,
So you will
so I
be here
promise
that meeting.
I have to phone it in.
Yeah. I would appreciate direction on that, just so I can notify the public and make plans in my schedule if we aren't gonna have that meeting, or if we're gonna adjust it to a different day. I wanna make sure that I'm available and planning on being here. Go ahead.
I mean, my thoughts, I mean, I don't wanna have a meeting, you know, Christmas Eve or whatever, either, but, you know, if there's something really important to discuss, and we don't know that right now, but maybe by the November meeting, we'll know that.
Sure.
So if there isn't a critical issue on the agenda, then I'm fine with it.
I think we're only, required to have 10 meetings a year,
Yeah.
so canceling one, I think, is perfectly acceptable.
It's reasonable to do that now, rather than wait till the November meeting to make a decision.
Especially for plans. Thoughts, Celeste?
I expect to be around though, you know, if it comes up.
Yeah, I'm fine either way, but seeing that it's the 27th is the day after Christmas, the Christmas Day falls on a Sunday, that I think a lot of businesses are probably gonna move, I mean, I think our business is probably gonna be shut on the 27th, it'll probably be a holiday. So I'm fine deleting it or keeping it. But I do think we should give Skylar a decision so that he can move forward.
I'll take a motion if anybody wants to make a motion.
I move that we cancel our December board meeting scheduled for December 27th at 5:15.
I will second.
Thank you, Sue. Kyle?
Aye.
Sue?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Celeste?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Thank you.
And I think to your point, Kyle, if there's something that comes up, then maybe we can
Add a
schedule a meeting quickly, or, you know, in a couple of days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I suspect that appraisal might be coming in.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff like that they want to get done before the end of the year.
So they can build out.
Also, upcoming is the pool is gonna have our annual shutdown, so that will start on Saturday and go for about 2 weeks. There's a number of projects that are expected to be undertaken to get the pool ready, and I think it's important for the board to know. I don't think there's anybody here that doesn't know this, but just want to share that offers our staff a chance, because we're in operation 362 of the 365 days. I know we haven't been open on weekends, but you can't really, it's really hard to get a project of any scope done on a Sunday only. So it gives our staff, the maintenance staff and our aquatic staff, the opportunity to clean, do a very deep clean, and then just perform that routine maintenance. So servicing all the fitness equipment, breaking down and rebuilding, you know, the boiler systems for the pools, installing these aquatic features, and there's a number of other kind of pieces that will be addressed. And I think I've shared those with you, but if I haven't, I will get them to you. So looking forward to the work. If you have any time and would like to come by and see the work or volunteer, we are always looking for folks to help.
Really?
And there's many tasks that can be completed by even somebody as inexperienced in maintenance as me. So painting, cleaning, pressure washing, things like that.
Get me on the list.
Yeah.
See what I can do.
Great.
I'm not really good at kneeling down.
Construction.
Great.
But, you know,
Well, maybe we can find you a standing
that's
job.
experience.
I have sort of a quick tangent on that, because I know Sue needs to get going, but I know that some of our community members have kind of questioned the need for a shutdown, and if all pools do that. And I had sort of an interesting experience. My family and I went to Great Wolf Lodge for the first time this year, which is a huge indoor aquatic facility. And I, looking around, I was like, I wonder if they do the same kind of thing that we have to do, where you shut down and you do all maintenance. And sure enough, they do. They shut down their whole hotel and all of it for a whole week and do all the things. So I think that's important to point out, that it's not just us that does aquatic shutdowns. Anyway.
Nonetheless,
I've actually not run into anyone who's been upset that we're shutting down.
okay,
I mean,
different concerns, I'm sure were shared. And then the last time, and I believe I shared this with the board prior to Kyle's arrival, we have our ORPA conference coming up in early November in the Bend area, and I think Michael's coming with us to participate, which is awesome. He's one of the few, I think it's important to know, Mike's one of the few board members or community members that comes to the conference, and the ORPA executive director, Amanda, always talks about Mike because he's really in a rarefied air in terms of his dedication to attending and being involved and informed.
Oh, no, we'll put you on
No,
the
when was-
list for
It
board
was
of
a lot of
directors.
good training and a lot of good information for parks, you know.
I
for-
thought we talked about all going.
That was, I think, to Special Districts Conference.
Yeah.
So you were all welcome to go to that, and that's in, I think it's the 10th through the 12th of February, also in the same location in Sun River. So, but just wanted to share with the board that I was nominated and elected to serve as the ORPA Board President. So that's a board president position, not unlike Catherine's, but way less responsibility. So this upcoming year, I'll transition from being secretary of the board, which I've been for the last 4 years, to being president-elect, and I'll do that for a year, and then president for 1 year, and then past president for 1 year, and then I will be off of the board, thankfully, after a good seven-year run. So
Congratulations.
thanks. So I'm excited to represent, I think it's good to represent special districts on the board, and also, we're not the smallest agency by far, but we aren't the biggest either, and there's a lot of representation from the Portland Metro and the Willamette Valley area, so I think it's great to get representation outside of that little tri-county area, so.
So when are you going in November?
I am going on, I have to be there on November 5th, which is a Saturday, and I will be back on either the 8th or the 9th. Conference is the 6th through the 9th.
It goes
6th
through
the
your awards lunch,
8th. Yes.
around midday at the land.
I took on I whimsically took on a part in the coaster production play,
Oh, yeah, I've heard about this.
and it's like, I just looked at,
Taking over your life.
yes, you know, you're there like 30 hours a week.
Yeah.
They excused me tonight.
Okay. Well, as we should.
They did.
Okay,
You have
that's it
to-
for me.
moving on.
Only other thing I would just say is thanks to Isaiah, who's
Yes.
been here a lot today. I don't
Thank
know
you,
what time you
Isaiah.
started lifeguarding, but I would imagine it was 8 or 9?
Yeah, it was mine.
Yeah, so
Okay,
long day
12
for Isaiah.
hours.
Thank you, Isaiah.
Thank you.
Thank you all, and really excited to work with Kyle and have his expertise on the board. Yeah.
Okay,
Thank you for placing.
board comment. Kyle?
I just want to say thank you to the board for having faith in me. Hopefully I can live up to your expectations.
You're welcome. 2.
I have quite a varied opinion this evening after what happened to me yesterday. And so number one, I appreciate Melissa's presentation, the 2 gentlemen from the CLOS group that were here. I'm glad that Celeste can join us via Zoom. And I honor this position. And what happened yesterday to me was something dishonorable. And it is, it's hard for me to, I mean, first of all, I will take some steps to prevent that from happening again, that kind of interaction. But I find it offensive. I find it concerning that somebody could feel that they might be able to strong-arm a position onto this board. And I don't understand where that came from or how somebody could feel that by talking to me, maybe that I react to it in anything but a negative fashion. And I am offended. I am surprised. I am concerned. I am also looking at the fact that I was told in a rather boisterous way that, you know, our people that usually complain about this board and this pool and our functions would be here tonight, and they're not here. And so I find that fascinating that they aren't here to hear they register complaints, and none of those complaints were heard tonight, but they were registered in previous months, and there's no opportunity to offer any kind of solution, because I don't think they want a solution, they just want a complaint. And it really is bothersome to me that I can sit here waiting to address concerns, because I still agree that every complaint is a gift. But when you move into bullying and intimidation, that's a crossing a line that offends me, and I will defend the honor of being on this board, period. And that behavior yesterday was anything but. I am grateful for Kyle. So grateful for Kyle. And I get to serve with him on a couple other committees, so I'm grateful for him being here. I'm grateful for each one of us, and I look forward to what kind of challenge may come out of what happened last night, and bring it on. But in the meantime, I think that we do a lot of good work, and the good work that we continue to do needs to be allowed to go forward with concerns being brought and fairly adjusted or addressed, and then we continue to remember that our goal here is to play, and positive life activities for you, which is all of us, even those who want to complain. And so I'm grateful to be here, and I'm grateful for this board. Thank you.
Thanks, Sue. Mike?
Thank you, Sue. I'll have to find out more about that, your experience, but I can imagine. I want to thank Kyle for coming forward and applying for the position and stepping up. You've been very valuable even on your first meeting.
Thank you.
And we had some other very capable people come forward who are interested, and I hope they stay interested.
Well, there's an opening on the budget committee.
We know.
I'm really impressed with Melissa's work, and she's done outstanding work with the grant writing in particular, but managing these special events. She certainly would be a candidate for a special award through or a PA or any other district. Would be very proud to have an employee like that to help fund the programs that we need to continue. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. Celeste?
Kyle, just super glad to have you on the team and looking forward to your contributions over the years. And Skylar, again, it was great to hear from your staff. I also heard comments from friends in the community about the last event and how exciting it was because so many people showed up. So congratulations to your team on that.
Thanks, Celeste. I would just like to say welcome to Kyle, and thank you to everyone that interviewed. We had some fantastic candidates, and I do hope that they find ways to be involved in the district, if not on this board, in the budget committee, with the foundation. And it's a huge thank you to Melissa for all her hard work, and a huge thank you to the aquatic staff, who are currently just making it work. I mean, thank you to Isaiah for stepping in. Thank you to Justin for stepping in. Thank you to Lindsay for stepping in. Without these amazing staff that we have, this doesn't work. So a huge thank you to all of them. Looking forward to the future events, Turkey Trot. We will not be trotting, we will be walking, but it's fun. Hope everybody can join us. And with that, meeting adjourned.
Thank you, Catherine.
Thank you.
Good job.
So now I understand why you have heartburn.